Gone into one continue surfing, please call now and upgrade your package.
You know, we joke a lot, but the sad truth is you could hear this message very soon. Once again, your freedom is at risk. Big internet ISPs and the government are trying to take away more of your rights than usual. But you can do something about it.
That's right. It's super easy to do. Both of us went to battleforthenet.com today, and we made our voices heard. Battleforthenet.com has everything you need to know about the net neutrality movement, and it has everything.
We're sorry, your internet provider has deemed this content unsuitable for viewing in your area.
Go to battleforthenet.com.
Please make your voice heard.
Mass UFO sighting.
Now this creature is said to prowl the swamps.
Everything is a lie.
Becomes more transparent and then finally disappears.
They're a lot closer than we've been thinking. Good evening. It is once again Friday night, and the crew is all here, at least on our end we are, and I know Hester Prine is as well. I am Dale, and tonight we're going to talk some Halloween. Ryan, are you with us?
I am here.
I'm
alive.
I like to hear that, yeah. And Megan is with us, I believe, yes?
Hello, hello.
I know she is. I was playing you there. I'm looking right at her. She is literally right beside me. So we're all here. Who's excited for tonight's show on Halloween?
Yay!
Wow, that did not go well. Let's try that again. Who's excited about Halloween tonight?
Yay!
Ryan, you still didn't step it up at all.
It's Halloween month.
It is Halloween the 6th. I almost titled the show Halloween the 6th, but I thought Case File Halloween sounds kind of spooky. Yeah, but speaking of Halloween, that's what we're going to be speaking of. We're going to be talking the origins, which it surprises me, but a lot of people don't know. But then again, we spoke last week how just because you don't know something doesn't mean you necessarily look it up or care that much. That's why we're here. So we're going to talk about the origins and the traditions, and maybe some cryptids will come up. I think Ryan's found some pretty cool cryptids. Have you not?
Yeah, I consulted my my little cryptid book.
Your handy dandy notebook.
Yeah, my handy dandy field journal.
Yeah.
I'm working on my own Tobin's Spirit Guide, but for cryptids.
That's awesome.
But anyway, I picked out a few that I think fit the Halloween mood pretty well.
You know, if it sucks, it's on Ryan, because I relied on him for it. I'm joking. No, it's going to be good. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. The origin of Halloween is an interesting one, and in a lot of ways, it's very misconstrued in today's culture, I think. It's not all demons and evil. It's some of it is, I guess. But that's why we're here. Let's talk about it tonight, you know?
I think it depends on the region, but we'll find out more about that in just a bit.
It's a regional thing, yes. Yeah, so let's get to some news so we can get to it eventually. Ryan, would you like to go first?
Sure. Let's see here. Now, disclaimer. The more I read this, the more I wonder if this is like a spoof kind of story.
All right. Well, hey, you're upfront about it. That's what matters.
You be the judge. It's that ridiculous.
All right.
It's let's see. Get my page back up here.
Yeah, do what you got to do. We're prepared, but it's usually a little bit ill. Just a little ill prepared, but prepared nevertheless.
Well, we're prepared. Just gotta wait for screens to refresh on my ancient laptop here. Okay, so a man in Casper, Wyoming, was arrested at the beginning of October for public intoxication. That doesn't sound too paranormal, does it? But he claims that he is a time traveler from the future.
What?
Who is back here from the year 2048 to warn the people of Casper about an imminent alien invasion that's going to happen next year.
All right.
So...
What does one say of such things without sounding like kind of judgmental and hateful? You know what? I'm not going to rule it out. I mean, anything. I think that's why we're here. Anything's possible. But when that thing comes out, even we're kind of like, I don't know. That's too definitive of a time, really.
we're gonna laugh, but what if the sky's right?
For real, that's it.
And this goes down next year. So, yeah, they found him on the street. He was intoxicated, clearly. He says his name is Bryant Johnson. So, sorry, Bryant. We're going to get your name out there.
Like the lead singer of AC/DC, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
So, he says, he told the officers he just arrived from the future and that he's only able to time travel after the aliens fill him with alcohol.
Okay.
While standing on a giant pad.
What? So alien hooch on a giant pad? What?
Yeah.
All right. He's saying that so that nobody can replicate it. Yeah, like you don't know because you can't do it.
So it was supposed to send him to the year 2018, but he was mistakenly sent to 2017.
I hate when that happens. Literally a year short or $1 short and a year. Forget it. Anyway, moving on.
So he says that the aliens are coming next year, which would be 2018. So I don't know what he was thinking there. But he insisted that they take him to the president of the town. He said
Of
his
the
words.
town?
The town of Casper. Apparently, Casper is like the capital of the universe, so that's kind of cool. Of the Earth, I should say.
I thought the yeah, I don't. If you live in Casper, tell us if you've got a president or not, or if you use mayor like the rest of the world. So
Yeah.
is Mr. Johnson to be believed? Guess we'll find out sometime in 2018. All eyes are on Casper, Wyoming.
Yes. Take me to your president-elect mayor who nobody voted for. He was the only guy who ran because he's important, apparently, somehow, to the universe. Well, that's kind of cool if you live in Casper, Wyoming, then.
I guess so.
Well, yeah, I mean, it also kind of puts you on the map for all the wrong reasons, potentially. Well, Megan's got some news that it might kind of lead to some truth behind this story. Maybe with 19 years off. We'll see. Go ahead, Megan.
All right. So, SETI astronomer Seth Shostak maintains that we will find evidence of intelligent aliens within 2 decades. Ever the optimist, Shostak was recently speaking of at the World's Fair Nano New York Festival when he bet everybody a cup of coffee that we would discover intelligent extraterrestrials within 20 years.
Doesn't that sound like an old man thing to do? I'll bet you a cup of coffee, youngins.
Now, it is New York. Everybody there drinks the coffee.
I mean, I'll bet you a cup of coffee.
There you go.
There we go. Sorry about that. I was all wrong about it.
Yeah. He also suggested that the discovery of microbial alien life may happen even sooner than that. We may find microbial life, the kind you'd find in the corners of your bathroom, he said. We may find that a lot sooner, but that remains to be seen. It's going to happen, I think, in your lifetime. On the subject of intelligent extraterrestrial life, though, while Shostak remains adamant that we'll discover something soon, he is less optimistic about the likelihood of a direct communication. I mean, if they're 500 light years away, you'll hear their signal and it'll be 500 years old, he said. If you broadcast back, "Hi, we're the Earthlings, how are you doing?" it'll be 1,000 years before we would hear back from them, if you ever heard back from them.
So is this going to be based out of Wyoming, I'm assuming? I do have to say that speaking of bacteria or microbial life, it's funny, my daughter today was like, "Do you know we have bugs on our nose hairs?"
Ew.
I was like, it's not really like that, but I get what you're saying. So
That's the kind of information that would ruin Megan's life. So
it's true.
It's gross.
careful when you say things like that.
Yeah, I was like, where else hair grows, so
Ew.
it
Stop.
could be worse. Of course, I'm talking ears. Don't be weird about it.
Oh, right.
So yeah, it sounds like within the next 1 to 20 years, we're gonna have some extraterrestrials amongst us.
I think that's definitely true to say about bacteria or microbial life. Anyway, I mean, we're already seeing somewhat of some evidence of that, like on our expeditions to Mars.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I think that's likely.
I agree. Absolutely.
They just check out the backside of the moon. We could have communication tomorrow.
Potentially, you never know.
Just saying.
They told Buzz specifically not to come back, though.
That's true.
It's true. Once you're booted from a side of a side of a house, you don't come back. It's rude. So forget the other side of the moon. All right, this comes from Megan's home state of North Carolina.
This should be good.
It's gonna be crazy, y'all.
Yeah, this will be fun. Allie Megan Webb, actually.
Uh-oh.
Now I'm in the habit of saying Megan, and Megan doesn't feel right anymore. She came up with what's
Megan's not. I said I hate that because Megan's not a real name.
I say that every day, and she's like, yes, it is.
Don't you?
It is,
agree?
guys.
I'm like, anything you feel like you have to say I-N, like, no, that's not a real word at all. Nobody says, like...
It's a complex vowel. Calm down.
I try to hide my southern accent, but...
Bacon and eggs.
And
You don't do
Megan
it.
just drags it back out.
It does, Megan. Hi, Megan.
Come on, guys. Let's move along now.
No. We're in a good spot right now. This is funny. All right. So, Allie Megan Webb came up with a peculiar concoction during a brainstorming session at her kitchen table. So she's creating science in the kitchen. The North Carolina-based wife and mother runs a home business called Happy Body Care and maintains that her Bigfoot juice works as a bug repellent.
What?
Yep. You heard it, folks. The Bigfoot juice. Decidedly tongue-in-cheek product, which she described... You're fine. I kind of expected this, though. That's why I set it up with Megan's home state. Now, we don't think people in North Carolina are dumb. We don't even think Bigfoot's dumb. This is just ridiculous sounding is all. That's all that is, so.
I wonder if she's licensed for this Bigfoot juice.
She describes it as environmentally friendly, which is good, and is apparently capable of attracting any curious hairy bipedal hominid within half a mile.
Well, that's half the state.
That's most of them, right? How do you know it works, she says.
Bigfoot juice.
It's like those one of those bug juices kids drink.
Yeah.
How do you know it works? She says. I guess I could ask you, how do you know that it doesn't?
Well, that's not a very good business plan.
According to her, Bigfoot research group Bigfoot 911, which we definitely appreciate being out there doing what they do, recently conducted a field test of spray during an outing in the woods of McDowell County and actually prompted a sighting. To attract a Bigfoot, you need a smell that is woodsy enough to keep from scaring him off, she says, but slightly different enough to make him curious and come to an investigator. When asked whether or not she believes that the creature even exists, Webb says she isn't certain, but she's convinced that at least something is likely to be lurking. I'm definitely not trying to make fun of what people believe, she says. A lot of people are serious about the juice, more serious about the juice than I thought. These are people around the world that are inclined to believe Bigfoot is real.
Now, I believe in our friendly, neighborly wood booger, but I'm not so sure about the juice. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So what's going to be next? Is it going to be like Mothman? I was going to say Mothman meth, but that sounds terrible.
Repellent?
Moth meth man. We already got plenty of meth man. All right.
So I'm back in. I'm professional again. Okay.
Okay. After the huge breakdown there. All right.
Yeah, that Bigfoot juice got me.
Welcome Dark Falls and Sarah. Also, if I didn't say it, welcome Hester. Everybody's chatting tonight. Well, 3 of you. That's awesome. Anybody else out there listening who's not chatting, you should come chat. These are very, very nice people.
Join us.
I'm not so nice, but they are. All 3 of them are very kind.
I'll
All right.
make fun of your name for you.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about the Bigfoot juice, I think that there's kind of something to it there. They say if you're out Bigfoot hunting that it's better to be peculiar in the woods. You know, don't like camouflage yourself and sneak around and things like that. Like that.
I agree.
If you're being observed by a Bigfoot, then you're acting sketchy. I think by doing that. I think if you get out like most sightings, I think come from people that were just unsuspecting. They just went out camping. You know, they're out in the woods. They've got a fire going. And they're having a good time. You know,
Right.
I think it makes a Bigfoot curious, and then they want to kind of get closer and check things out, and that's when the unexpected sighting happens. So
I think
maybe
it's
something to that spray.
I think it's kind of cool that she's not even sure. She's just like, if it were me and I were a Bigfoot, this would be a good approach. I can kind of dig that. It's kind of the way they go at it, Bigfoot 911. It's like, we can't tell you for sure, but we're going to go out there and we're going to look and we're going to be as scientific as possible, and we're not going to judge you either way. That's how she feels. It sounds ridiculous, but it's not a bad approach to something. If Bigfoot juice were to exist, this is not the worst way to go about it. In other words.
So, I think she's kind of onto something in that, it's a man-made product, so it's definitely not something that they're going to be running across, in the woods doing their thing every day.
Right.
So
it's kind of a mix you into the nature, but being stand out enough to where maybe you don't spook it, which it's pretty much what she said. But I can see that. Seems
they're
smart.
Gonna be like, what is that? I want to check that out.
Like if you want to hang out with a dolphin, you don't jump in and splash and scream. You kind of blend into the water, but be human a little bit. Be like, hey, check me out, but I'm not nutty. I can see that. That's kind of smart for all things considered.
Believe in the juice.
Believe in the juice. Get juiced. All right. So Ryan, do you have any more news?
That's all I had.
All right.
I'm standing by, eyes on Casper.
All right. Sounds good.
Next year.
Everybody get on Google Maps and watch Casper, Wyoming. All right, Megan, would you like to tell us about a new prehistoric? Oh, you have another story. Okay, never mind.
Story, yeah.
We're going to nix that one. I'm going to read that one next week then because it's kind of neat. So she's got one. Go ahead.
So I have a story about ghosts being caught on camera at the famed Stanley Hotel in Colorado.
Ooh, if you watch Ghost Hunters, you can see them catch some stuff too. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah. Well, this is the Mosling family of Aurora, Colorado, participated in a spirit tour.
You should mention which hotel that is. It's famous for being.
Oh, I'm gonna.
Okay.
So the photograph was taken at the Colorado Hotel that helped to inspire Stephen King's best-selling novel, The Shining. And the photograph appears to show two ghosts. They noticed this photo after John J. Mosling got back home. Yeah.
John G. Gosling.
So the first thing you see in this photo is what looks like a little girl heading down the stairs. And there's, of course, the whole big group that's on the spirit tour. He couldn't remember seeing a little girl, so he, went back and conversed with his daughter and his, a bunch of people from his personal group. There was an 11-member party on the tour. And at first, he said, we tried to be logical and think somehow we missed her. So we asked our kids, their girlfriends, and our friend if they remembered seeing a little girl. Nobody did. We do not remember seeing anything on the stairs when we took the picture. But there's a close-up, and I've got, Dale's going to post the photo on our website.
I'm actually going to post it in chat right now, and I'll put it on the website later.
Okay.
Are they twin girls? Dark Falls asked.
No, they're not twin
They're
girls.
shinning.
But there is a second ghost. Now, first I got to say, Ben Hansen, former FBI agent and host of Fact or Faked Paranormal Files, did a careful analysis of this photo and says that it turns out to no obvious signs of trickery.
You are welcome, Dark Falls.
He said, I really like this photo. Assuming that it's not doctored, it ranks up there as one of the best photos of possible paranormal evidence I've ever seen. If it is faked, I've got to hand it to them for their level of detail and creativity, because there's usually enough signs to suggest hoaxing. While the ghostly girl stood out the most, the photo may also feature a second apparition. The Moslings said that at the time the photo was taken, there were two people on the stairs, the tour guide and someone else on the tour holding a cell phone. However, in the image it shows to be a third figure who's walking up the stairs and away from the tour group. Hansen said he assumed this figure was just another person walking up the stairs with the same motion blur seen around some of the other people in the image. Then he noticed something else. Through the railings, you can see the lower half of the person that's the tour guide. You can see the shoes of the person on the stairs, but you can't make out the lower half of that woman that looks to be walking up the stairs.
I definitely believe in ghosts, but I don't necessarily believe in this picture.
You don't think?
I think a lot of the time, and the lights and things, the fact that there's like light glares, it says to me that there's something weird that went on with the photo process in general. Like, I don't know if you've ever taken like an HDR photo, sometimes it takes a few seconds to process. I can see two things kind of overlapping. Maybe some kid ran up the stairs at the time. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not legit. I'm just saying, give it a good look, decide for yourself.
Well, Ben Hansen from Fact or Fake said it looked pretty
what?
good.
If it had been Chris Hansen from NBC, and he would have just been like, little girl, you need to come sit down. Let's talk about this. Because that dude is serious, and he is way scarier than Ben Hansen. All right. So everybody look at it. I posted it in chat. check it out. Let us know what you think. We'll come back to it during the show if you want to post your thoughts, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. All right, I've got one more story. It's kind of awesome, so I want to read it this week. I don't want to wait. Special software is being used to solve the mystery of who betrayed Anne Frank's family to the Nazis.
What?
It's a mystery that has spanned nearly 75 years, but now former FBI investigator Vincent Pankoke. I think that's...
What?
Vince Pankoke?
Vince Pankoke? Either way, it's a cool name.
I thought you said Vincent Van Koke.
It's Pankoke, Pankoke. Potentially, it's Pankoke. Who is working together with Netherlands-based production company, hopes to use a special piece of software to find out once and for all who was responsible. The software they will be using is capable of cross-referencing millions of police reports, military records, investigative files, and other documents to hunt for new leads and connections. The bottom line is, until this day, there is nothing that's really held water or been definitive, he says. The point of the investigation is fact-finding just to discover the truth. There is no statute of limitations on the truth. Anne Frank and her family had spent 2 years hiding from the Nazis in a secret annex in the back of her father's store before they were discovered and captured in 1944. Out of the 8 people who'd been hiding there, only Anne's father, Otto, survived the Holocaust. So this could be potentially huge.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the Dark Falls, like the digital version of Double Exposure. That's kind of how I feel about it. I've seen photos like people that you know, and they weren't like, this is a ghost photo. They were like, look, this happened. This was weird, right? And I'm not saying it's that. I'm just saying, consider things. This is a modern age, and the things like that do still happen, though. But it's still a cool photo, regardless. I always like it when people are like, we didn't see them. And potentially, there could have been, those 2 people could have never even been in the hotel this year. So that could be a ghost photo. Either way, it's compelling. And that's a big reason we're here, right?
Exactly.
Did you look at it, Ryan? Did you get the chance?
I'm trying to now.
Okay. All right. I'm curious. And then after that, we'll hit a break, and then we'll get to the thick of it for the night.
I just thought it was pretty cool that Ben Hansen jumped in there on that photo.
Yeah, I like him. I used to love that show.
Me too.
It's a really good show. They try their best to recreate and disprove things, and when they can't, you're left with some sort of evidence. So this would be one of those, I think they could definitely, if they tried long enough and had the right kind of camera, probably make similar. But I don't know. Yeah, it is. It's one of those things. The Nazis kept good records. Oh, our past. I'm glad that's not particularly our past. Germany can have that past. We have our own skeletons in the closet, unfortunately. Have you had the chance to see it yet, Ryan? If not, we'll come back to it later, maybe.
Let's come back to it later. It's not working for me for some reason.
Sounds good. All right. So let's take a little break, and we'll come back, and we'll get into Halloween if everybody's good with that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a yes. All right. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a young boy drowned? The counselors weren't paying any attention. Kill her, Mommy! Kill her!
One must never go to camp unprepared. In order to survive, arm yourself with the knowledge by listening to All Podcasts on Your Grave every other Tuesday, or end up like the rest of the counselors. Go to MidnightSpookhouse.com for showtimes.
Maybe there was some truth to the first ones that were kind of discovered. There might be some truth to that. I feel like people have replicated it so much that I think it's lost its merit. And you even have some people out there that have made it their art form, their way of expression. So they're actually out in the field creating these pieces of art. It happens so much now on an artificial scale that even if we discover, new evidence, new crop circles that were believed to be formed by an alien spacecraft, you've got so many people out there, replicating it. How would we know the difference now?
Spookhouse Radio.
And we have returned. Did that sound all right to everyone? I'm just curious. Anybody who can give me a little feedback on that break there? I changed a few. Okay, sounded good. All right. Dark Falls, Hester, Sarah, anyone? Just anybody. Did that sound all right? good volumes and everything. I'm trying to adjust everything to sound just right, so nobody's overpowering and such. And I should have probably done this 3 months ago when we started, but now's as good a time as any, live in the middle
Why
of a
not
show.
now?
Right?
Yeah.
It's a Halloween show. Let's risk screwing it all up. All right, so yeah, if you guys will let me know, I'll appreciate it. Now, let's move on to Halloween. It's that time of year again, isn't it?
Sure is.
You know what? Summer kind of sucked this year, I thought. Now, I'm a big summer guy. I really like summer.
Excuse
but
me for just a second, guys. I'll be back in just a second.
Sure, yeah. Go ahead, man. He's a parent, and any parents out there know how that is. Otherwise, you still probably know how that is. It could be anything. I don't know what's going on with them. Just a
You
guess.
never know.
All right,
It's live.
So it is live, yeah. So Halloween is finally nearly upon us, and I am excited. I count down the days. You know that all across like Twitter and things that you see these things. 304 days till Halloween. Well, I like to check those once in a while and see how far we are. Well, guess what? We're under 30 finally. We're at what? What is it now technically? 24 days?
Yep.
Yeah, 24 more days. How exciting.
Awesome.
Now, what is Halloween, though? Ryan asked me earlier. He's like, I don't even know what it is. What is Halloween, you guys?
Why don't you tell us?
And I was like, you know what, Ryan? Tonight I've got a show for you, guy. Let's do this thing. But no, he has some really cool Halloween stuff. I think on the second half, we're going to do more of the cryptids and maybe some lore. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to get back to something that I was having a lot of fun. Those tales that help you sleep at night.
Ooh.
Yeah, remember some of those were pretty good. Some of them were just downright dirty feeling after I read them. And then some of them were kind of, but that's just the reality of life.
Best kind of bedtime story makes you feel like, ugh.
Yeah, you need a shower and to say a few prayers, brother.
Yep.
All right, so let's dig into a little bit of Halloween then. All right, here, Megan, do you wanna read a little bit of what it's all about? How about just summarizing it for us?
Why don't you take this?
I've got an article for you. It's as easy as reading it. I like your voice. It breaks up mine in his depth. Yeah. Just the summary. You don't have to read it all. It's fine.
Okay. So, since much of the history of Halloween wasn't written down for centuries, some of it is still sketchy and subject to debate. But the most plausible theory is that Halloween originated in the British Isles out of the pagan Celtic celebration of Samhain. It goes back as far as...
That is pronounced Samhain.
Okay.
I'm just saying. It's fine.
Samhain, whatever. It goes back as far as 5 BC. It was believed that spirits rose from the dead and mingled with the living on this day. The Celts left food at their doors to encourage good spirits and wore masks to scare off the bad ones. Some historians believe that the Romans who invaded England added a few of their own traditions to the celebrations of...
Samhain is fine.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
Samhain?
Americans, I've always said it that way as a kid. I just learned a few years ago. I don't know. I don't even know where.
Such as celebrating the end of the harvest and honoring the dead. Others say that since the Romans never conquered the Celts, Ireland, and Scotland, there was no mingling of cultures, and that the Celts celebrated the end of harvest and honored the dead in this way anyway. Many centuries later, the Roman Catholic Church, in an attempt to do away with pagan holidays such as Halloween and Christmas, which had not been the Roman holiday of Saturnalia, established November 1st as All Saints' Day, in French, La Toussaint.
La Toussaint. I like that. That's
In
pretty.
celebration of all the saints who do not have their own holy day. This attempt to detract attention from the pagan celebration of Samhain didn't work.
You're just mixing them together now. Just
I
say
can't.
Samhain.
The celebrations on the eve of All Saints' Day continued to grow and change. During the massive Irish immigration into America in the 1840s, Halloween found its way to the United States, where it continued to flourish.
Yeah, that's good for now.
America.
Yay! It made it to the U.S. and I couldn't be happier.
All right.
Yeah, I'm excited that they decided to bring something traditional here that just gets me candy. I like it. Ryan, have you made it back with us, or are we still without you, sir?
Yeah, I'm back now.
All right, the Celtic holiday Samhain, yes, says Dark Falls. It's also part of the Harvest Festival. It is. And Hester, I'm sorry, I about mixed your names together. Very creepy. I see a girl with a white dress, looks like white lace sleeves. I agree. I see both sides, but it's like I'm not a skeptic exactly. I don't know what you call me. I try to be reasonable. I think that's kind of our goal around here.
You're a logic.
That is illogical, Captain. All right.
I'm with you on the I'm with you on the photo.
It just feels that way, doesn't it? Doesn't it look too digital? But at the same time, it is creepy. It is creepy, regardless. You know, so it is. So there is basically the beginnings, and it's just a summarized beginning. We have a lot of details about it. Ryan, what was your goal here with the origins of Halloween? How deep do you want to go into this? Because I've got plenty of info to share.
Let's go down
So
the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I missed all of it, so I actually don't know where Halloween came from.
Yeah, I was telling everybody while you were gone that you were asking me and I have no idea what Halloween even is.
I'm just kidding.
No, I know, I'm joking. But see, I was right. So what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Do you want to talk about Samhain and the kilts? Do you want to get on to All Saints Day? Do you want to move on to what we do today? Do you want to talk about the bad things like the witches? Not actually necessarily bad things, but you know what I'm saying.
Ooh.
Well, one thing I
Ooh.
want to kind of touch on, and I was looking at, have you ever looked at the origin of, the time-honored tradition of the jack-o'-lantern?
Yeah, sure. I have some. But you probably have a point there that I don't understand. So have at it.
So we know that no matter which version of the origin you choose to believe, that tradition kind of started in the belief that on All Hallows Eve, that was the time when I guess the world of the dead or the spiritual plane becomes blended with ours.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to see a lot more spiritual activity during that time, which leads us to, I guess, the whole point of talking about Halloween on the Paranormal Show. I wonder if there was something to that.
It's a good question.
Now,
I'm not sure that a certain day will do it, but maybe. I mean, it's awesome to think about.
I wonder. And when we've talked about on the show how there is some merit to human belief.
Sure.
All kind of put our minds together and we all sort of think and believe a certain way. It can have some sort of influence on the universe. So I wonder.
Right. You know what? I will say for sure, for certain, when we all put our minds together, we are creating energy. We are giving off energy. And what do spirits need to manifest? Energy.
Exactly.
So there is absolutely, you get people together. It's how they say, bring enough people together and God will be there. Same for spirits. Put the energy together and you have basically created a field for a spirit to happen. So
exactly.
There you go. We all believe on the same day a lot of shit could happen.
Yeah, that's the point exactly. So if you're celebrating these traditions for hundreds of years, and you're brought up to believe that on this day the dead will walk, spirits will walk among us, are you feeding into that supernatural energy and giving the spirits the ability to do that? I
believe so. I mean, Dark Falls says Atulpa. Yes, absolutely. A group that gets together and basically in this case creates energy for it to happen. I think it's awesome. So I kind of mentioned jack-o'-lanterns way back when. It was the same sort of idea that we have today. We hollow out pumpkins to do it, but back then they hollowed out real heads. I'm joking. So you used whatever you could get your hands on. Mm-hmm. Being in Ireland, it'd be turnips and gourds and things like that. And potatoes. I'm sure pumpkins were used at some point, but the purpose of those, or at least what a lot of the old accounts believe, was to ward off those spirits. Right. So it stems from the will of the wisps. Mm-hmm. Will-o'-wisps, I guess. Stems from that. It's just a good sound you're making right there. I like it. Sounds good on the ears. Yeah. They believed, or they started to believe that lights on, essentially
swamp gas, what a lot of UFO sightings get
Mm-hmm.
get accused of. They believe that to be fairies or spirits or something, and that would kind of ward off the dead. So the belief came to be that you could fake it by making these lanterns, with a face carved out of it, so it would, project, the face of a spirit or a wisp.
Mm-hmm.
And you put those in your windows at night, and that would keep evil spirits from entering your home. So
like it.
That's kind of the origins of our jack-o'-lanterns today.
Mm-hmm.
We just kind of do it for fun. But back then, they truly believed that this was actually a tool against the supernatural.
You know what? And I'm not going to say it's not, because if we agree that we can collectively create the energy needed for spirits, we have to also agree and assume that we can create the energy for negative things. So
Right.
maybe there really is something to that. Those were simpler times. It seems as though they knew less, but are we clouded by more? Is it that we essentially have lost a lot, honestly? Have we watered down who we are as people and forgot where we were based?
Well, we might have more on that later when I get to one of these cryptids
Ooh, okay. That sounds fun. I like it.
later.
Go ahead. Continue.
But I think you're onto something. We've come to lean on our technology and our science.
Mm-hmm.
What if people back then were more in touch with Mother Nature and the Earth and the space between the plane of the dead and the walking.
It's like farmers. When you rely on it more, you appreciate it more. You and I, we don't rely on trees. We don't rely on grass or farm animals. We really don't even regard them at all that much, except for on sunny days. We're like, thank you for the shade. But
Right.
when you have nothing, you appreciate everything. And I've said this a lot, and I know that, it's not brilliant or anything, but we have too much. I can't watch all of the DVDs I have. I keep buying more, and eventually I just don't see some of them, and I don't appreciate them the way that I did one VHS that I wore out as a child. I think we're getting further from who we're meant to be, honestly. And that just goes right along with all these traditions. I think we're getting further, but there might be more to them.
It could be, and ultimately that could be our undoing.
Absolutely.
If we get so far away from our origins, maybe our origins will forget us.
Right. It's like, I'm not telling anyone what to believe, but believe in something. At least believe in yourself. I mean, it's very important to believe in something in life, and people are just, they're just getting further away from believing in anything, themselves included. So don't do that. Darkfall says there's a story myth about a man so evil that the devil banned him from hell. So Satan threw a burning coal into the turnip the man was eating and doomed him to walk the earth forever. That is a cool story.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
There was a man, so hateful that he was just chilling in hell eating a turnip.
Did this man happen to be from Nantucket? Because I know the rest of that story. All right.
So the turnip was kind of a favorite of the lanterns because obviously, that was easy to carry around.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you were going to be traveling at night or engaging in the festivities, a turnip version of the lantern was popular for that.
I challenge you to carve a turnip this Halloween, Ryan.
This is the new, what is it, Ice Bucket Challenge. It's the turnip carving challenge.
That's it.
You did the other one, you need to do this one. It's only right.
It seems
right.
pretty challenging to do, but I guess back then, like you were just saying, you do with what you have.
That's it, yeah.
You make it work.
We become more independent. We become stronger. I think we don't have time to argue with each other. We don't have time to judge each other. I think, obviously we have a dark past, but that came far after these things. So I just think the easier things are, the more time we have on our hands and the worse off we are probably. So relating that back to these spirits and things, I think we've lost touch with spirituality in general. I don't think ghosts are capable like they used to be because we're like, oh yeah, they're real, but we don't actually think about it. I remember as a kid, I was scared to death of ghosts. I loved them, but I was terrified. I could watch documentaries all day long. Now I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that one and that one's okay. And it's like, but you don't think about it. You don't feel it. You don't worry. You don't fear it anymore. So the energy dissipates. We're losing that spirituality for even Halloween, I'm afraid.
I think we talked about this on a very early show, but I was always wary about thinking about exorcism and like the old stories, a lot of movies are based on. I go back and wonder, what did this person do to let their demon in?
Mm-hmm.
How can I avoid doing that? You know what I mean?
I absolutely do. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something that kind of scares me. And it does. It scares me. I've seen documentaries about exorcisms and exorcists and things, and whether you believe that or not, that's fine. I'm not trying to pour that on you. I'm just saying, you'll see completely normal people walk into a room, people you'd never think were possessed, and then the priest would, put on his holy water and take his cloth and things and start doing the prayer, and they turned. Like, you would never know there was a demon in them. All of a sudden, it's getting crazy. Like they're like speaking in some weird ancient language, and they're like bending backwards and stuff. It's like, I wonder if there are demons amongst us now, in us. Do we take on demons as we age? Is that what makes us more willing to be evil?
Everybody has their demons.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
Maybe there's something to that saying.
Because not every exorcism story is she's spinning her head and puking vile everywhere and cursing mothers. It's not all, the stories. It's if it's really happening, it's a lot scarier and a lot closer to home than you think. That's my honest belief about it.
Yeah.
I don't like to think that, but I just do. I think we invite demons in over the course of our lives. We just kind of loosen up, and it's like, it's not going to happen. But maybe it does.
I don't know.
So instead of witch hunting, maybe we should be demon hunting.
I think, some people out there, we've talked about reptilian extraterrestrials taking their place among, the leaders of the world and everything.
Right.
There are plenty of people out there that feel that it's demons instead.
Who knows?
Not extraterrestrial, but otherworldly.
Dark Falls says Halloween's almost like Comic-Con these days. It really is. It pretty much is.
I feel like it's the other way around.
You know what? Even when I was a kid, my dinky costume, I was kind of spooked just by going out on Halloween. I was like, it's All Hallows Eve. Anything could happen tonight and tomorrow and the next day even. I always kind of felt like it was a 2 or 3 day thing. And I was always a little freaked out about it. I was like, you hear tales. You were scared as a kid, but you're not anymore. It's like Comic-Con. It's like, who's going to be the Luigi to my Mario or whatever, and that's fine, but it's fun, but it's not scary anymore. And I think, again, it's causing us to lose that energy that could make spirits rise. And that's a shame because haunted houses are great. But I do pose this question. I was
just going to mention that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, we seek out, in our adult lives, we go out and we seek out like the haunted houses and things like that for the jump scare,
Right.
That it's not real. And that's something we'll get into later, one of our next topics, which we're coming up on the break time now anyway.
We're trying to take breaks at reasonable times, folks. It's not because we're not going to throw in a bunch of commercials or anything. We're just trying to give some structure so that we don't ramble too far. So yeah, you know what? Let's right after your thought, let's take a quick break. So go ahead and do your thought, man, and then we'll hit it.
Well, that's when we come back from the break, we'll talk a little more about this. The modern Halloween, as a kid, you kind of freak yourself out anyway. We all have those great memories of Halloween and trick or treating and things like that. But you know, there was scary bits of it too. You know, the walking around at night.
Yeah.
Do you dare to go into the bad neighborhood?
Now it's like dangerous, murderous, scary. It's like a whole different kind of fear. It's not that fun, I might see a zombie or ghost kind of fear. Now it's like, it's just bad, dirty fear.
Yep.
It's not the same.
In our adult lives, you know, we seek out the haunted houses and the, you know, we seek out the jump scare. And when we come back from the break, we'll find out about some research that's being done that suggests that being scared is good for us. And we're kind of seeking out that controlled stimulus.
I like it.
Being scared. So when we come back from the break, we'll hear more on that.
All right, that sounds good. Remind me when we come back. I want to mention something really quick about Halloween parties.
Okay.
All right, so let's take that quick break, as Ryan mentioned, and we'll get right back to it. We'll be back.
I've seen a ghost, or I've heard a ghost, I should say. The doorknob next to me, I was trying to sleep and it was rattling like someone was going to come out of the door. And I once saw an aircraft, silent, dead as the night, and then gone. So that's my story. What's yours?
Hope you're enjoying the show tonight. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. But the fun doesn't have to stop there. If you head over to MidnightSpookhouse.com, you can download all the old episodes and listen to them as you want. Also, feel free to use the contact link and send us your messages. We might read them on air. Once again, head over to MidnightSpookhouse.com.
Spookhouse Radio.
And welcome back. Thanks everybody who's out there hanging out with us. We love doing this and we love hanging out with you. Tell us, what do you think of Halloween? What are your routines and traditions and things? And do you think that we together can give spirits energy to manifest? I'm curious what you guys might think about that. I want to mention
if it's just about getting that Reese's peanut butter goodness, that's okay.
Yeah, we did talk about that Tuesday. Oh my God. Tuesday was a fun show about Halloween. So if you missed that, it's on the website and the app. It's called what? What did I call it? Halloween something. It's called Halloween something. Candy Time. I don't remember, but it's on there and check it out. It's less about the traditions and more about the candy and goodies. So check that out. All right, I wanted to say real quick, as far as getting together on Halloween and creating energy, suppose you get a Halloween party together. And it's at this house that's everybody says it's haunted. You know, it's that haunted house at the end of town. You don't go there on Halloween. The spirits will rise. Well, suppose you get enough people there and, you all kind of believe it. Does this house become haunted?
This sounds like a movie.
It does. It sounds sort of like a movie that I want to talk about at the end of the show. But I'm just curious. What do you think?
In that, how do you get a Halloween party together at an old abandoned house without somebody calling the police or
right?
Like that's the ghosts aren't the unbelievable part to me. It's the ability to actually have a Halloween party at a location like that. That's the unbelievable.
That's the
part
adult in you right there. That's when you grow up and you see the logic in these things. As a kid, you're like, yeah, let's have a party there. Like, yeah, good luck. Woo. Yeah, the Haunting of Hill House. The Hank Hill House. I still have, there's a commercial we've talked about and made a script for that I need to do, speaking of Hank. Any which way. So, you know what? There's a lot more to Halloween that I didn't even get through, but I'm going to save it so we can do another Halloween show. We'll talk about the reason we do things. Well, you know, we've kind of done that, but
hey, it's only the 6th day of Halloween.
Right. So we got a bunch more shows. And some random shows coming up where we're just going to play some Halloween tunes, play an old radio episode from a classic horror, like an NBC or CBS horror show from the 40s, and we're going to kind of talk about it and talk over it and enjoy you guys. And maybe we can talk about, I don't know, the reasons we trick-or-treat, All Souls Day, what All Saints Day is. So, yeah, I've got a lot more. I'm just going to file it away for tonight. So let's get to some cryptids. Megan, did you have something to say? I'm sorry, I just kept going there. I didn't even stop.
That's okay.
What's that? I wasn't going to stop. No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, did you talk about the reason why we do costumes? Because I kind of missed the
Well,
first half of
Ryan's
your
going to
show.
field that, actually.
Well, that's our topic right now. Actually,
Yeah.
is
okay.
why do we? Why is Halloween fun? Like, why do we do this? Why do we dress up and go out to intentionally be scared? Doesn't that sound kind of illogical?
It does sound
That is
illogical.
Captain.
Yes.
Like, why would you want to be scared? Have you ever thought about it?
Well, let's hear it.
So,
I know you and I, Ryan, you and I have literally sat on your porch and talked about it. Like, got ourselves freaked out, talked about it.
yeah.
We have. So, I don't know. Tell us. Why do we? Why do we crave that?
So there might actually be some science behind it.
Ooh, some science in this show? Never.
So a professor at Purdue University says that October 31st is when individuals are able to have their fear and disgust buttons pushed without actually being in danger.
Huh.
So what does he mean by that? So
What does he mean by that? I'm curious.
they say that now that in this article, they keep referring to this as gross or your disgust as one of our emotions, and the benefit of that is that as we grow up, disgust teaches us, for example, not to eat rotten food,
Right.
or not to touch
As children, nothing is disgusting.
certain chemicals. Yeah, I mean, you don't always know that.
Right.
When you're a toddler, you'll eat anything that's not nailed down or on fire.
It's true.
So, that's an emotion that's kind of a taught skill to us. And this researcher believes that throughout our adult lives, we continue to try to nurture that. So Halloween has become the perfect time for people to nurture that expression of disgust or fear.
Did you say October 21st? Was that what you said the date was?
31st.
Oh, so
didn't
it's like right on. Okay, well, great.
Yeah. So,
Sweet.
well, what they mean by that is, obviously that's on TV. They're playing all the horror flicks, and people are actually you're in the Halloween spirit, so you're actually seeking these things out. Whether you're watching YouTube shows or reading scary stories online, you are nurturing your fear in a controlled manner. In other words, if you're watching a scary movie or documentary or whatever, if it gets to be too much, you can shut it off. Or if you go to a haunted house, the whole time you're able to realize that, this is fake. This is just people in costumes. But so it's a controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way for you to nurture that fear. And the research suggests that this is just a primal method of strengthening ourselves as people. In other words, you're tempering yourself against fear by exposing yourself to it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does.
So that's kind of the nutshell of the research. You're not in any real danger, and you can turn it off at any time.
Right.
So you're, in effect, exposing yourself to danger to make yourself more used to it.
Mm-hmm. I can dig that. Yeah. Makes sense to me.
They go into a little of the history of Halloween. It didn't really start as that, or at least the people that celebrated Halloween, as we just discussed, that they may have been scared, but I don't think that they were seeking it out,
Mm-hmm.
per se. That they actually believed, they were in danger from these spirits and everything. But as Halloween moved to the West, it came to the Americas, we tried to keep up with the creepy feels of it and everything. But, as time goes on and the tradition continues, it becomes more homogenized, I guess. So again, we get the controlled environment where we can, experience our fear in a controlled manner.
Right. I can dig
So-
that. Yeah.
Do you think there's something to that? Do you think that we're subconsciously trying to grow by exposing ourselves to fear? I think they're kind of onto something. And-
I want to think so. I think
Now, that doesn't necessarily hold true for everyone,
mhm.
because some people just like creepy stuff. You know,
Yeah, I think I'm one of those. Like, it doesn't, nothing really scares me on this side of things. It's just, I just really like it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just the weirdos of the world like us. You know, we just kind of like the weird stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we like.
And I
aliens.
wonder, what caused that really? Do you get used to it as you grow up, or
I don't
are
know.
you like predisposed? Is there something weird that causes you to kind of lean towards this side of things? Because there are people who think everything on this side of the spectrum is, black magic and dark arts and things like that. It's like, not necessarily. But there are some people who are just terrified of it. And then there are people like us who are like, I kind of want to see stuff. I'm a little scared of it, but, it's like you do want to see it. I don't know.
You can ask the question, why do you like anything, really?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why does somebody like baseball? It might be because their parents exposed them to baseball at a young age.
Mhm.
But, I was exposed to baseball at a young age, and I like it, but I'm not a fanatic about it.
Right.
I'm not to the level that I'm into, say, video games or Halloween and things like that.
That kind of raises a thought in me that I've always considered. People say, oh, well, you were raised in church, so that's the reason you believe in God. I think we all reach this point where we ask ourselves, do we or don't we, and why? So I don't think that your belief system is always nurture versus nature, I guess you could say. I don't. I think sometimes maybe it is. I don't know. But you get my point, I think, is that I think we make our own decisions eventually, but sometimes some things just sort of seem built in. You just feel it in your bones. Like you just know aliens are there. You knew ghosts were there before you ever witnessed one. Some things just transcend your own beliefs. It just is, and you just know it whether you like it or you don't.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I'm getting at. And I don't know, maybe this is that sort of thing. Maybe there is some predisposed, maybe an ancestor of ours believed it greatly and had experience with it, so here we are questioning it.
Maybe.
Maybe not. It's just, it's something to consider, I suppose, because I've always noticed growing up, there in school, especially when we were in school, video games were extremely unpopular to girls. If you were a guy, you did not brag like, yeah, I just beat Sonic 2 in one sitting, and they're just like, nerd. Who even cares? Good luck having a girlfriend ever. That's changed, obviously, but the point is there's always been this gap. And when we were in school and before that, there was a bigger gap than ever, probably, like people who believed in the paranormal versus people who didn't. They were like, no, it's hogwash versus this stuff is real. We were either sold or we weren't. And nowadays it's like, it's just kind of a thing, It's like, I don't know if I believe. You ask somebody what kind of music they like, I like it all. Don't you have a preference? Don't you believe a little more strongly one way or the other? I don't know. That's just something that bothers me. That's probably pretty irrelevant to the conversation, I guess. I was just kind of thinking back, like, what if we are predisposed to it?
Well, it's still kind of relevant. I get the point I was leading to is, people like us are just kind of predisposed to it, like you were saying.
Mm.
So I think the study is more reflective on people that aren't, fear or Halloween fanatics.
Yeah.
It's just that time of year, and it's when you should be, I guess, celebrating the creepy and weird that just goes hand in hand with the holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's that time of year for I'm trying to avoid the term normal people. I think I'm a.
How about like this? We all enjoy it together, but for different reasons. Like we enjoy it because we like it. Other people enjoy it because it spooks them. We all enjoy it together.
People,
I feel like
those people. The study suggests that they're getting a psychological benefit from it by exposing themselves.
We're benefiting all year. Yeah.
So.
That's cool. Darkfall says his entire family's into the things that go bump in the night. Yeah, that's awesome. Mine is not. My my parents are plenty open-minded. Just they don't really consider it. I know my daughter loves it, but that's probably because of me. One last thought on the predisposition that I was speaking about earlier. We pass traits on. Who's to say that our brains don't pass something on? That thoughts that our forefathers thought don't eventually just kind of seep out of us. I mean, is that scientifically ruled impossible? I've certainly never heard that it was. And believe it or not, I've read some about the brain because it interests me so much how it is so important in everything and how you believe. And then you and I have talked about how certain things you can feel in your soul. You call it your heart, you call it a chemical reaction, but it's in your soul. Your soul weeps when somebody dies or breaks up with you. That is not science. That is beyond somehow. I don't know what it is, but it is deeper than science.
Yeah.
So, and ghosts and aliens probably are too. I mean, that's just all the reasons we're here, though, I guess. Any which way, I'm sorry. I'm going down the rabbit hole on a Halloween episode. This isn't the one to do it on.
No, this is a fun episode.
All right, yeah. So back to your stuff, Ryan. I love it though, man. I love knowing that people come together for it, regardless of their reasoning. I love that. That's awesome. It's this time of year that everybody agrees on something at least.
So they've got some other interesting data here too. And this is on the people that hate Halloween.
Boo!
So,
what? Who is that? No, I'm joking. I know.
Apparently, a lot of people. So here's some data for you. Let me try to see.
Ooh, you've got data. I like that.
Yeah, they say that 1 in 3 parents would be happy if Halloween did not exist.
What?
Due to rowdy behavior, feasting on sweets, and commercialism.
That is ridiculous. Now, I'll agree with the commercialism, but you know what? I actually kind of like Halloween for the commercialism. It's like, I like all those M&M commercials, and I like those things, so I can let it have a pass for this season. I just hate that I went to Walmart the other night, and they had as much Christmas as they did Halloween.
Maybe more.
Like, come on, dude, really? It's not even Halloween yet. Anyway.
And then Thanksgiving just gets left in the dust.
It really does.
Yep.
What do you buy for Thanksgiving? Hay,
what do you buy
a weird pumpkin, and some turkeys. That's it. That's all you buy for Thanksgiving.
Mums.
Mums, what?
It's a flower.
I know it's a flower, but I've never bought a mum for Thanksgiving. That's new to me.
You did last year.
I didn't.
You did for your mom.
You did for my mom and called it for me, but I didn't. All right. Anyway, now Ryan, you said you had cryptids as well.
Let me finish these facts real quick.
Oh yeah, the data. I forgot about that.
And I kind of wonder. We were talking about how most people, if they're not into Halloween, they're at least celebrating it during the season so they can get their scare fix.
Mm-hmm.
Which, according to this study, is a psychological benefit. So what are the people like that hate Halloween? I don't run across people like that.
I don't either, thankfully.
But of course, it says 1 in 3 parents would be happy if Halloween didn't exist. So of those people, a survey from Mumsnet found that 65% do not like their kids wandering in the dark. That's kind of understandable.
That's reasonable, sure.
57% hate that their children are stuffing themselves with candy.
Mm-hmm.
Candy's not great for you, but it's not like you're doing that every day, or you shouldn't be anyway.
Right.
Holiday, enjoy it while your bodies are young and invincible.
Oh God, isn't that the truth?
27% did not like being tricked, and 12% said organizing costumes was too much of a hassle.
What? That's the best part.
That is ridiculous. That it is kind of stressful. I admit, it's got into October this year, and I was like, what am I going to be? But I finally landed, so we're good. But
I think the stressful bit about your kids is just that they're so indecisive on what they want to be. So luckily for me, mine both decided what they were going to be early on. So
mine too.
Got the costumes ready.
I feel like kids just want to be everything. So they're like, yeah, that's cool as long as it's one of them.
Well, I'm like, do that if you've got a strategy behind it. You know, like for example, when I went
Like double costuming.
yeah, I used to double dip. You know, I'd go out in one costume, do my route, and come back and change into another costume and do it again.
That's the way to do it.
So,
as long as you're masked on one of them, you're good to go.
Yeah,
I like it.
So ultimately, at the end of all this, 1 in 5 adults turn off all their lights and close the curtains to avoid strangers on Halloween.
Rude.
Oh, they did that when I was a kid, 1 in 5. Now it's 4 out of 5, easy.
For real.
At least around here, like, yeah, there's you have to almost around here go to a church or like the mall. And we even went to the mall a couple of years ago, and there were like people standing out in front, like people who work there. They wouldn't speak to you. They weren't handing out candy. It's like, you're just being a jerk. You're just watching the festivities and sucking.
I mean, don't you at least have a bologna sandwich in there for us?
At least hit us up with some dry bologna sandwiches.
I think the kind of increase in the non-participants is kind of related to, you know, the economy. You know, who has the money for what they're charging for candy around Halloween?
True.
Like, who has the money to buy the entire neighborhood, you know, candy to give out? I've been there one year, unfortunately. You know, I was in hard times and I had to keep my lights off just 'cause, you know, I couldn't afford to go get candy for kids to come by.
Yeah, but I don't think 4 out of 5, or well, whatever, 3 out of 5, whatever.
It's dire times.
You know, it was a couple of years ago, but I feel like it's come around a lot. And I'm not saying that's because of Trump, so don't judge my political views by what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that I don't know. It just seems like way too many blackout for Halloween. I feel like, you know, there ought to be one street where 8 out of 10 are, and then I get why, you know, another street might be 1 in 15. I get it, but I don't like how it's just 9 out of 10 are dark on almost every street now. Other people could do better. Some are just grouchy and don't want to deal with the kids. And I kind of get it. But at the same time, let us not let this tradition die. It's fun, and our kids need happy stuff to do.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I think, too, it's people are scared. You know, there are so many stories on the news of kidnappings and things like that.
Yeah.
People just feel a lot safer these days going to, like, trunk or treats and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good, wholesome fun. You don't have to believe in anything particular to go to a church and trick or treat. Go, have fun. If they judge you, tell them to go inside and read the Bible and stop that, because you're there for candy.
Show up in your Red Devil costume.
You know what? They shouldn't say anything to you. They should welcome you. End of story. All right. Darkfall says a lot of small towns in North Carolina have banned trick-or-treating in neighborhoods. Sadly, I get that.
Yeah.
It sucks, you know? But I get it, unfortunately. All right, well, enough booing on that. You got any more stats, or do you want to move on to cryptids?
That's it. So let's talk about these cryptids.
Ooh, I like it. I'm excited. We haven't talked cryptids in a little while.
So I went through my my little homemade cryptid guide, and I picked out a few that I think kind of fit the season.
Ooh, I like it.
So in some parts of the world, there are active cryptid, you know, tales and sightings of giant vampire bats.
All right.
So,
neat.
Creepy.
In Madagascar, it's called the Fangalabalo.
Fangalabalo. All right.
I probably butchered that. It's the name of a giant bat with a 5-foot wingspan, and some people believe, yeah, and feasts upon blood.
Ooh.
Of animals and people. So tales go around that you shouldn't be out at night on certain times of the year where a giant bat could swoop in and drain you of your blood.
Well, I don't like that at all.
Now, the tales of this thing have gone way back, and coincidentally, this could be sort of the tie-in to vampires, the whole vampires and bats thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, vampires kind of started out as just sort of the Walking Dead or undead creatures. Earlier legends of vampires, they didn't depict them as having pale skin or any of the common features, we mostly hear about. Most of them were, kind of swollen and, dark skin from blood pooling up under the skin.
Yeah.
Almost like a bloated, near rotting carcass.
Yikes.
So
that's way scarier, and I bet they don't have nearly the personality that Dracula does.
Yeah, so legend has it that somebody thinks they saw what they believe to be a vampire, and then shortly thereafter sighted this cryptid and believed that the vampire was able to transform into a bat, which is further supported, by, the vampire stories that came later,
right.
Dracula and things like that.
Yeah.
So could this thing be real? For up until fairly recently in the past decade, we weren't entirely sure that the giant squid was real.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, you just can't rule this stuff out as much as it seems ridiculous. Not everything is as it seems. I think we've learned that many, many times, and we've got to always remember that.
Yeah.
You never know. You just never know what might actually be true.
So you may feel safe, but there are giant vampire bat sightings pretty much all over the world.
That is not okay at all. That is terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
I don't like that.
It's either Mothman or a vampire bat. So if you see a giant winged animal, or it could be a thunderbird, giant winged animals are bad.
Winged demons. We don't like them. All right. Well, what else are we supposed to be afraid of then?
That's it for the cryptid.
Okay.
Or that cryptid. Now here's something that, we mentioned our relationship with nature.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cryptid that I've known about for some time, but only recently have I found a name for it, and I found out that these things are called night crawlers.
Like the worms? I like it.
So these things totally fit Halloween because they essentially look like some kind of creature wearing a sheet. Like the good old,
the ghost
out of a. Yeah, it looks like a lollipop ghost.
It sounds like a cute song, sort of.
Now, I'm not doing this thing justice by describing it. So they're extremely thin, usually around 4 feet tall.
If you'll tell me what it's called, I'll look up a picture and I'll post it in chat.
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. Okay.
The Nightcrawler.
I just thought there might be like another title for it that'd make it a little easier, but I'll find it. Go ahead.
An alternate title for it is the Fresno Alien.
The Fresno. See, there. That's what I'm looking. Something that'll really set it out.
Yeah. So there are actually videos of this thing.
Oh,
I don't
God.
know if it'll post the videos in the chat, but I'd be interested to see what you guys think of this. Yeah, there's been video sightings of these things walking across a field. There's one walking down a street that was picked up by a security camera.
They look like clothespins or something. It's weird looking.
Yeah. Try to find a video of them moving around. They're kind of creepy.
I just gotta throw this out there. I found a picture of one with some really sexy legs.
Ooh, that's the one I want to see. Ooh, it's wearing heels and everything. That is sexy. I like it.
Maybe that's what Miss Pac-Man is.
Exactly.
So they're described to be about 4 feet in height, extremely thin, white humanoid with no discernible arms. It just kind of looks like a head with legs.
Mm-hmm.
So,
whoa, didn't mean to do that. Sorry. I found a video and I was gonna post it and I didn't mean to, but I hit play.
So, what's interesting about this and what I think kind of ties it to Halloween is that it's regarded to be extraterrestrial in origin, and according to certain Native American tribes in that region of the country, the Nightcrawlers have existed on the Earth for a considerable amount of time, and they come from a planet consisting majorly of swampland. So I think that's interesting that we've got, Native Americans usually regard things like this as sort of spirits, I guess, but they actually regard this as an extraterrestrial.
Wow,
from a
okay.
swamp planet.
It's kind of cool, though. I kind of dig it.
So they're from a planet consisting majorly of swampland. Their long legs are thought to help them maneuver through the boggy terrain.
Mm-hmm.
So, to the Native Americans, these swamp world aliens are here on Earth to assist in the awakening, which is to rebuild the connection between man and nature and bring peace and harmony to the planet. So these are good cryptids.
I like that. That's really nice for a change.
Native Americans.
It's not here to eat people or probe anything. It's here to help.
Right. So, not entirely sure how they're helping by mysteriously walking across these fields, but
but you can't say that they're not helping by doing it either. It's the whole Bigfoot juice thing all over again. You can't say they're not helping. Yeah.
Bigfoot juice has got me there.
Yep.
So
that's Bigfoot juice logic. That's got to be the title for that from now on.
I hope everyone was able to find the video because
I posted a link.
I don't think my description really does them justice, but they're sort of creepy to see just walking around like that.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you make of those? Is this some kind of CG video, or I don't know? What do you think of the footage?
Megan, are you watching it? What do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a GIF is all I found, and it doesn't really give me enough to make a positive identification.
She needs the music that they laid in the background of the video to decide one way or the other. The GIF is essentially the video without the music. There you go.
There you go, yep. I know, that's definitely creepy.
Darkfall said the video gives some info. So you guys, whoever's listening out there, if you want some more info on the Nightcrawler or the Fresno alien, check out that video there. I also posted a picture. And the picture's probably not nearly as good as the video, but if you don't want to navigate away right now, it's pretty convenient to look at. I think the picture's pretty cool. I'm not going to say it's compelling because from here, it could literally be sheets hanging from a tree, but the video will definitely show more.
That's what I thought at first when I first saw them, but I think one of the more compelling videos is the one of it's like walking down the street in front of someone's house.
And
there's nothing visibly that it could be hanging from.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, this is one of those, and I'm not disregarding it as possible. I'm just saying this is one of those that I just don't know. It sounds like somebody could have made it up, but then it spreads, and there's different pictures of it. Are a lot of people making it up? I don't know. I believe more towards the Mothman than this one, in my opinion, but I certainly wouldn't rule anything out, I guess. The video could be marionettes. Oh, there you go. I think that's probably true with a lot of paranormal videos. It's so hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's a cool one. That's an interesting one. I'd never heard of that one.
So I'm just going to leave that at it's nice to hear of an extraterrestrial here for a good purpose.
Yeah. Finally.
At least I'm going with that anyway.
I like it. So you got any more, or is that all of our Halloween cryptids?
That's all I've got on Halloween cryptids so far, but I'll have some more next show.
All right. That's cool because I hadn't heard of that one, and I'm excited. I love cryptids. They're so much fun. They're so unknown and not necessarily all bad, and this kind of proves that.
Except for the vampire bat.
Bad. And the bloated vampire zombies that drink blood, as Dark Falls put it. Yeah. These things aren't great. Okay, but... All right, so I tell you what, let's go ahead and get our break going then. And when we come back, we'll do some, what do you want to do? You want to do some listener questions, or do you want to get to some spooky tales? I guess listener questions would be the natural next progression.
Yeah, let's have some listener questions. Or we can go ahead and jump to that if you guys don't want to take a break quite yet. Or
it's totally up to you, sir. I don't care either way. I see no reason we need a break if you want to go ahead, and then we'll just skip the last break. We'll hit a song here in a little bit, but we'll skip the last break if you want. Let's go ahead and do some listener questions then.
All right.
I want to say real quick, not Dark Falls. I'm sorry. I'm giving you credit for everybody's comments here. Hester Prine says she's not too impressed. Could be drones with thin white material. Absolutely. That's kind of what I thought too. I mean, it just kind of looks fake. But we'll see. You never know. This will be the one day that blows us all away. That one will be the real one. Bigfoot,
yeah, end up being that one.
Nessie was never real. The Mothman didn't happen. But this one happened. This one still happens every day somewhere. So we'll see.
In Fresno.
Yeah. So look for Casper, Wyoming, and Fresno, California. So there you go. All right, Ryan, would you like to read the first question then, sir?
Sure. I really enjoyed the alien abductions episode. That was last week. I love hearing the stories out there, but I think a lot of BS goes around too. What are some of the telltale signs of a fraud to you? And that comes from Andrew D.
There's a documentary on Netflix about Stan Romanek. Just watch it.
Yeah.
There's your fraud right there. He pretty much does everything a fraud would do.
I mentioned Stan on that episode, and I was waiting on you to watch the documentary to get your thoughts on it.
I remember I told you it was like 8:15 in the morning. I was like, dude, this is the dumbest crap I've ever seen. Oh my God.
Is it not? So if you've not watched the documentary, maybe we can save you some time.
It's called what? Unexplained or something like that.
If you're not convinced that it's fake after 10 minutes.
No. What is it called? Who cares? You don't need to watch it.
Yeah, if you do care, search Stan Romanek and you'll find it. But I don't suggest you do because it's just ridiculous. And who are we to say for 100% certain we're not? But for 99.8 at least, I think we're onto the right thing here.
So, where the neat story, I think, or the story that kind of compelled me, and I had read it elsewhere, was the one about the siding on his house. How it was damaged somehow or burnt, and then that crew came out of nowhere to repair it.
Yeah,
and his landlord denied knowing of who those people were or anything. I thought that was an interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
I would be compelled to believe something like that. However, Stan has also been he has admitted to faking some videos. When that happens, that's when you lose all credibility to me.
Well, the video footage of all of his aliens, it just looked incredibly fake.
He has multiple videos of aliens. Like one is like he's got like his front door open. There's like a screen door, and it just keeps popping its head up, and he's like, "What was that? What just happened?" And he's just kind of casually walking to the door, looking at this stupid looking little alien that isn't even real.
And then it pokes in his kitchen door frame. Really?
Yeah, it might have been his kitchen door, whatever. But it's like one of the things that got me the most is he kept saying he kept getting calls you can't hide, and his computer background and all his files were changed to you can't hide. And I was like, oh, because no one could fake that ever.
Right.
It's just the most absolutely asinine stuff I've ever seen.
Well, that's asinine.
And that's the thing that sets me off, or will, lead me to believe someone's a fraud, that you're trying too hard.
Yeah, you're going to have like a once in a lifetime thing with an alien, most likely.
Not 194
this
different
dude,
things.
Yeah, he has like pages and pages and pages and pages of things. They're following him. He saw this today. He saw that yesterday. There's this alien hanging out around his house. These people are watching him. He's getting calls. It's like...
And he conveniently always has that video camera.
Like, if they're not watching Donald Trump that hard, they're not watching you. They don't care. You have no power, dude. Why would they watch you? And one could argue it's because no one would believe him. Watch this documentary. No one believes him for a damn reason. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry to crap on the guy. I would hear him out and be open-minded, and I would never naysay him. But... the documentary, it's at least, is completely ridiculous.
It is, honestly. So, what sets off a fraud to you? One of the big things, and he's very guilty of this, is the claim of self-importance to the universe. the whole you're the star child, or you're the star seed, humanity's future relies upon you. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
It
like the
seems
start to a Marvel comic, not a dude's life.
Yeah, and it just screams to me that it's someone completely mundane that's trying to craft something exceptional about themselves.
Yeah.
They're trying
Yeah.
to make themselves interesting, out of no effort. And I think that's it's troubling, really. I watched his documentary and I was kind of concerned for this guy. He just seems like he's really craving that attention. Just seems like a lonely guy that is fabricating all of this. To like, I have to be special in some way.
Right.
Something has to be special about me. Then there's not, so I'm going to create it.
His ability to be a documented asshole is pretty special. I'll give him that. Dark Falls asks, is it even worth a good laugh? It depends, as long as you go in knowing that it's complete.
Yeah. If you go in looking for a laugh, you'll probably get it.
Yeah. But if you go in being like, all right, I'm going to watch this really cool documentary, no, it's like, that's really, dang it, why did we even do this?
Yeah.
I think Stan's documentary is kind of the best answer to this question. If you want examples of how to be a fraud, then
Yeah.
look at this. I'd also like to note that at the end of the documentary, he admits to being charged with having child pornography on his computer.
What?
And that the alien or the government put it there because to stop him or whatever, because he's the starseed and he's going to change the world with the aliens.
So if they wanted him, they couldn't just take him. They had to plant something, right? Because they would have cared about the legalities, right?
If the government wants you gone,
you're just gone.
Yeah.
Jimmy Hoffa is still missing, folks. If someone wants you gone, you're gone. That's that. Don't start a union. And I don't know. I would say that Stan Romanic's one of the safest people on earth. Nobody's going to gone him. He's fine. He's safe.
So
Dark Falls said he just watched Paranormal Witness, and that's kind of relevant. There were some really good episodes in that show. That's one of my favorite paranormal shows ever. What did you think of it, Dark Falls? Now, go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, it wasn't important. That's what my mom says. If you forget, it wasn't important.
I don't know if it's gone to trial yet, but supposedly for his child porn charges, they were going with the UFO defense. That was their big strategy to get out of that.
Well, if you want to be considered, I guess, crazy, there you go.
Yeah.
They are going to, in a court of law, make claims that the U.S. government has placed this stuff on his computer. And that it's to stop him from changing the world with the aliens or whatever. I don't know. Sounds like a sleazeball to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
you know what? I even consider things like the government doesn't cure diseases because diseases pay, and if you cure them, there's no money in that. There's money in treatment. I believe things like that. I don't believe anything this dude says.
Yeah, like we just said, if the government wants you gone,
you're gone.
Yeah, that's it. Dark Falls says he liked Paranormal Witness.
You could be killed in a car crash. The next plane you take could go down. Like there are 1,000 different ways the government could make you disappear.
Yeah, look at like Marilyn Monroe and Kennedy. If the government's onto you and they want something to happen, it'll happen. Now those are conspiracy theories, granted, but suppose they're true. It's proof the government can do what they want. They don't need to plant something.
Yeah, anything plantable, has the potential to be traced back.
Yeah.
Why would they go through the trouble?
They just wouldn't.
If there's the potential that, let's humor him for a second. Let's say that the government did put this stuff on his computer. Mm-hmm. So there's the potential there that the government could be caught,
Right. Why bother?
Damning could that be? They would not. And the effort to do that,
Agreed.
There's far less effort would be to just send some dude with to put a bullet in his head and
the Men in Black
be cheaper.
Say, oh well, he ran off somewhere. or he's disappeared.
So he's important enough that they went through all that to plant the child pornography, but not important enough for any of these aliens who are clearly at his house to take him or to even speak to him, really.
I mean, of all the things to frame him with, that's what they would go for?
Right.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's all. So look at it as a mockumentary and maybe you'll enjoy it. Yes, a lot of the stories on Paranormal Witness are head scratchers. I really like the alien ones.
Yeah.
The one where the guys go out in the woods and they all see that, what was it? It seems like it was a triangle, wasn't it? It had the weird symbols.
We talked
What is
about
that
it.
called? It's at a military base, and they go out into the woods and they find
Rockersheim Forest or something?
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Rockersheim.
Yeah, that's not the exact
And those
name.
guys are those guys are still alive today and still telling their stories.
And,
Yeah.
and it has not changed since the 70s or 80s, whenever it happened. It happened
Yeah.
a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, now you can get behind stuff like that. Watch Paranormal Witness. Don't waste your time on dude's documentary. That's just good advice right there. All right. Well, thank you, Andrew D, for writing in, because that's a cool question. Happy Halloween. Ever met anyone out there that was stranger than the holiday itself? Like they were trying to fit in amongst the humans while they celebrate their weird holiday. This comes from Stace.
Sup, Stace?
Yeah, I like the name, Stace. Wonder if that's short for something. All right. Well, what do you guys think? What does the question really mean? Are there people blending amongst us? Or
That again sounds like a movie.
yeah, Ryan, what do you think? What do you interpret this question as? I don't want to answer it poorly.
Well, when you were out trick or treating, maybe you went with a large group of friends or a couple of families or whatever. Did you ever notice like an extra person there? Completely in costume, but maybe they don't say anything the entire time there.
That definitely does remind me of movies. But no, I've never been so unfortunate as to have that happen. But they do blend together. Like sometimes, like kids will all run in amongst each other.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out with my friends. 4 or 5 of us trick or treating, and like a 6th person will show up, and they just kind of follow the group for a while. They don't say anything, but at the time we're like, oh, we're all trick or treating, so you don't really pay any mind to it.
Right. And this was
Maybe
just last year he's talking about. Just last Halloween. Stan Romanek showed up and he was just kind of wandering around in the middle of everybody.
Oh, that's
Jeez.
more terrifying than anything we've ever.
See what I did there? I don't even have to read scary stories. I can save my voice tonight. I nailed it. Try sleeping with that in your mind. As far as that goes, I guess I don't really have any legitimate thoughts. It could definitely happen, I guess, if monsters are real or there are people who want to try it. It could work. It could happen. I guess
Maybe
that's
you're not exactly normal looking. Maybe that's the perfect time to actually be out with people and be comfortable, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember one time I was playing in the yard with the kids around this time one year when they were very young.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody, I would say they were probably 8 years old or so from their size, came walking down the street in like a scarecrow costume.
What?
And they stopped in front of the house and were looking at the kids and kind of tilting their head sideways, and it started to creep me out. Like, who are you, kid? Like, what are you doing? Like, I didn't really feel like unsafe because, like,
Was it clearly a child?
yeah, it was a kid.
Okay.
So, I mean,
That's less creepy.
Well, have you ever seen The Omen?
That's
Damien was a
true.
kid.
yeah, I had that kind of vibe about it, but I'm like, this is an 8-year-old. What is he going to do to my kids?
It's the devil incarnate. He can do a lot. I don't know.
I mean, you going to try something? I mean, what are you going to do against me?
That's right. You
But
want
anyway, they were acting,
Macho Man Randy Savage off the top turnbuckle. Elbow drop, bro. You're out. End of story. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, they stopped and were, tilting their head funny, and
like Jason and Michael do in the movies. They're just like that little like, I'm trying to understand you before I murder
like a
you.
puppy
Look,
dog.
yeah,
What?
yeah. I said hello, and they never replied. The kids both said hi, and they never said anything. And then they slowly turned and kept walking down the street.
Weird.
So,
well, that's kind of terrifying. I don't like that at all.
I think it was just a kid trying to be scary.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it worked. We're talking about it. Here we are. So good for them, I guess. All right. Well, I hope that answered your question, Stace. Write us again if we were completely off on all that. If it wasn't about a weird kid at Ryan's or Stan Romantic, we may not have nailed it at all.
I think it's a cool idea, though. Like just the idea of the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of being
It's a thinker.
evil amongst you and you not
Yeah.
realize it. Absolutely. I think Halloween's the perfect time of year for that, unfortunately. Darkfall said earlier that somewhere in Charlotte, I believe he said that adults aren't allowed to wear masks. I get it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I freaking get it. I was thinking about that whenever I was getting my costume for Jason. I was like, I want a realistic looking blade, but I don't want it so realistic that it looks like I would hurt someone.
Yeah.
I'm
You
a
don't
huge
scare
dude as
people.
is, so we don't want that. All right, this next one is fun. I think it's only natural that Ryan take this one.
So this one comes from my son, and he asked me earlier tonight. I thought this was cool enough to include on the show.
Mhm.
Why do vampires drink blood? And that comes from Connor.
Yeah, little Connor. Good dude.
So, why do vampires drink blood? Well, legend has it that, I guess people can say, it's for nutritional purposes. I'm not sure what the nutritional value of blood is, but
It's what?
Back
It's
then.
high in zinc or something. Vitamins.
there you go. So going back to our original description of the vampires that we went through earlier, of them being like swollen, bloody corpses.
Yeah.
It was thought back then that they tried to drink people's blood to steal their life force. That they are the undead. They're dead, and they're trying to accumulate more life again, so they can continue to be animated, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The longer you go without that blood, the more you're going to decay. So that's
That's a very zombie sort of beginning to them, huh?
Yeah. So early vampire lore, I guess, was a little zombie-ish, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the thought came that they drank blood, was not for the nutrition or anything, that blood was considered your sort of life force.
Right.
And they're trying to accumulate more life by consuming your blood.
There's the movie Once Bitten, which is a great movie with Jim Carrey and a guy named Stu Charno, who I interviewed a few years ago. He's so fun. He's in that, and I talked to him about it a little bit. He said it was so much fun to be in that movie. It's just one of those fun 80s vampire movies that's just, you just love it every time you see it. Anyway, so in that one, basically, she needs the blood of virgins to sustain her life, her youth. So, I mean, it still kind of goes that way, I suppose. Just not as zombie-ish. It's not bloated and things. She's
It's not
this beautiful
necessarily-
seductress.
Yeah, it's not necessarily for the nutrition per se. It's,
It's the fountain of youth in some cases, right?
yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, that's a really good question. That's a completely fair question. And, you just assume people know these things. And it's like, I don't know. I don't even think about that. But then, you do see it in the pattern, I guess, of movies and history. That's just really cool. Thought-provoking question, even. That's going to definitely spin off into a lot of different things in the upcoming episodes. It's being All Hallows Month and things. So we'll be talking a lot more about vampires and witches, and we won't be disrespectful to the cultures who have real things come from like witches and things, because there's a lot of tragedy within witches and things like that. So, but yeah, anyway, good question. I have one that's a little ridiculous, maybe, but I've thought about it, and maybe it's not as ridiculous as you think. Could a story like Casper ever come true? Could someone die in an accident, spoiler alert, if you've not seen Casper, the cartoon, which is how old now, and then the movie, you know, with Christina Ricci and things. Could it happen?
I just realized.
What's that?
Do they explain that in the movies?
Yeah, like there's
How he died?
isn't there a scene like right at the front where like you hear a car hit him and then
No, he talks to her about it with the sled. Didn't he like freeze to death or something?
I feel like a car hit him. I don't know.
He was out sledding one day.
Well, he was sledding and a car hit him apparently. And then a zombie vampire drank his blood and now we
Good
have
Lord.
Isn't that a strange statement to make?
Isn't
I
it?
feel like I heard him.
It's the Mandela effect. I remember him as dying from a car accident. All right.
I don't know if they had cars back when Casper was a kid.
Are you kidding? What? Come on now. And
Like it was a horse.
we are
and
not going to
buggy kinda
argue
place.
Casper. I'm just going to say that I feel pretty just. I could be
That
completely wrong.
reminds me, I do have an interesting Mandela effect
What's that?
story that we can go to after you
Okay.
go through.
Well, I was just thinking that suppose you strongly and passionately care about someone or something, and you're a child, or unfortunately, and something like that were to happen. Now, I know it isn't going to be like the movie and the cartoon exactly, but can it potentially be similar? I just feel like it could. I'd never thought about it until today, and I was like, I want to add my own question tonight. And I was like, think about it rationally. I don't see why it couldn't potentially be that way.
So could something...
I think it happens all the time. We just don't have the romanticized story of it, of the ghost and things. We're not in touch enough with it to find out the details.
So can you be tied to limbo or the ghostly plane if you don't have a feeling of vengeance or something incomplete in your life?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just be like, oh, I just want to chill here and be a good friendly ghost? Is
Right.
that possible?
Yeah, you just don't want to accept that you're not alive still. I don't see that as out of the question. Then again, we've talked before about how spirits aren't really just hanging around. They just kind of they've passed, but they're capable of interacting. So he remembers Dark Falls remembers it as a car accident as well, as do I.
According to the film, Casper was a 12-year-old boy living in Whipstaff Manor when his inventor father, J.T. McFadden, until he died from pneumonia after playing out in the cold.
His father or him?
No, he lived with his father until he died of pneumonia.
I just don't feel like that's true still.
Do we have a cartoon origin?
You know what? It doesn't matter. We can research that for next episode.
Is there a cartoon origin besides
Next episode,
guys,
Casper.
I know how to draw a ghost, guys. Let's make a cartoon of this.
Right. Let's do it. All right. So I guess that's all for the questions. Let's take you want to take a music break before we get to some stories?
Sure.
Sure. You want to hear this Mandela?
Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot. Yes, I'd love to hear it.
Forgot about
Absolutely.
So, browsing through my Twitter feed, I came across this thread where somebody's basically said, "What is this? What is this about?" Now, not to get political or anything, but I have no recollection of this at all, and neither did the guy posting this. He provided links to all these like CNN articles, and there were political cartoons of apparently Obama, while he was president, he made the comment about the tough economical times. He made the comment, "We need to eat our peas," and some other things. I forget what else he said, but apparently conservatives latched on to that "eat our peas" statement, and there were just like a flood of these political cartoons. And I'm looking through his thread, they're posting all these cartoons like this was a huge deal. Like, this is something you would remember Obama for saying, like, we need to eat our peas, and there was all these political cartoons. But I have no recollection of this at all.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm looking at all these articles like this was a huge deal. Like there's all these conservative websites, you know, crapping on Obama for saying this and doing all these political cartoons. But do you remember that at all?
No, but to be fair, I've already forgot half of what Trump has said too. So,
well, I'm just like, that's the kind of thing. Like, even if you don't have an eye on politics, I feel like I would have seen that. Because I've still got some conservative friends on my Facebook feed.
Sure.
I feel like I would have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Like posting because they do it now. They post the political cartoons and things like that. Like, is this an example of, I guess, an erased bit of time or something like a bit of another timeline that's been left behind, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have no idea.
I found that really strange. I'm like, I would have remembered this, but I don't think I'm doing it justice by trying to describe it this way. There were just like a ton of political cartoons on this, and I'm like, is this an example of the Mandela effect? And a bunch of other people said that too. Like, is this a Berenstain moment happening here? Because none of us remember this happening either.
I don't know. It could be just where we live and the people around us. We could just be victims of just not hearing things like that occasionally.
I don't know.
I don't either.
It seemed like.
Go ahead.
Because I mean, they had articles from like the Fox News website and like these national press outlets, making fun of him for this comment, and it's like I feel like I would have heard about this.
Yeah, like Darkfall says, maybe we're just avoiding the news because of the past election madness. Could be.
Maybe
that could be absolutely it as well.
When did that happen? In 2012, I think, is when all this supposedly went down. So, I don't know.
I don't either.
More mysterious suggestions that there could be a multiverse.
He was the strange one amongst the trick-or-treaters. That was. Let's see here. Hester Prine says, not sure about that, but I do believe reincarnation is possible, so yes, maybe. See, that's kind of where I feel like I don't know why I was thinking about Casper. I guess because I want to watch it. I love Casper. It's such a good movie and cartoon and everything. And I was like, could that really happen? You know what? Just maybe. Not as, again, romanticized, I think is a good word for it, as the movie exactly, but just maybe. It's potentially possible. I think we need to get into more spirit things around here. Talk some more ghosts soon because, there's so many open ends and so many possibilities that I think we just don't even consider in a day. So let's do that soon. But for now, let's all take a little break and go potty or cook up some coffee or whatever you need to do. And then we'll come back and have some scary stories if everybody's down for that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. So this is, it's from a band called Cockroaches. And it's called Space Monster Meets Frankenstein.
That sounds perfect.
Right? I thought so. So let's do this. Here we go. sure do love some saxophone and things. I like
Yeah.
noise. I'm a noise kind of guy. I just like horns and I like noise, and it's a simple song, but it's like Space Mouse, so he's Frankenstein,
it.
right? It's
Yeah.
just fun. That's all we were going for. So good for them for writing it. See, Hester
Yeah.
likes it. Yeah, so awesome. All right, Ryan, are you
What?
with us still? Did you jam out?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I was just making sure. I didn't talk to you during the break, so I was just wondering. Did you jam out to the song?
I did. I really liked it.
Yeah, I
That's,
thought it was fun.
For, Halloween playlist.
Kind of rockabilly, Halloween, all that good stuff. All right,
Yeah.
let's get to some scary stories. You want to?
Yeah.
I feel like that guy on Family Guy who takes the cookies home to the cats. What was his name? Bruce? I think his name was Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's tell some stories about Bruce. Peter's got a mustache. I haven't watched enough Family Guy lately. I need to get it out of my system because it does not need to leak into this show. This is not the show for Family Guy. All right. This one is titled Imaginary Friend. When I was younger, I had an imaginary friend who lived in this massive antique dresser. I vividly remember him telling me stories, although I've absolutely no recollection of what they actually were. I remember one day talking to my parents about it. My dad traveled quite a bit, so he wasn't up to date with what I was into. But when I started telling him about my dresser buddy, he wanted to know his name. It was something innocent like Peter, but I can still see him going white in the face as I told him. I then drew a picture of him. The very next day, my dad and my uncle took out the dresser and burned it. It wasn't until a few years later I found out my dad's little brother also had the same friend with the same name who lived in the same dresser. After a few months of the typical imaginary friend stuff, my uncle started having night terrors and couldn't sleep because of Peter. It got so bad they had to move him out of his room before he managed to get back to normal.
Wow.
What does that mean, folks?
It's pretty creepy.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. Dark Falls knows it's Bruce. It's Bruce. Peter's got a mustache. All right. This one is entitled A Movie, Cabin in the Woods. All right. Now, it's probably not the script for Cabin in the Woods. At least I'm hoping not. That'd be ridiculous. All right.
I bet not.
The first time I moved away from home, I lived in an old cabin-like house that I rented really cheap. I never had a good night's sleep in there, though. I always tossed and turned and woke up several times during each night. But it wasn't until after a few weeks that things started to get weird. I like when things get weird. It's interesting, right? In the beginning, it was just small things that I didn't really think too much about, like keys missing and cups and plates not being where I thought I'd left them. Then I started waking up in the morning to find various drawers open and things laying around like someone been in a hurry searching for something. I even came home to a wide open main door and decided to change the locks. You would definitely do that then. All right, but even then, when I was home with the door locked, I could walk past and just out of the corner of my eye, see the door slide open. One time, I was cat sitting one of my friend's cats.
One of my friend's cats.
One of my friend's cats. And it would just sit for hours in the middle of the room and toss its tail from side to side and watch, as if it was following something around the room. This reminds me of the Twitter story we were following a couple weeks ago. It creeped me out. If you can only imagine what it felt like to see the cat slowly following something that floats randomly around the room and finally stop beside you. After a while, I could not live there anymore and moved out.
Can't say I blame you.
Nope.
No, that's a good time to go. Yeah. Cats are already kind of weird, aren't they? I feel like they're in tune with the demons of the universe. If any
And they
animal
don't
is, it's a
care.
cat.
They don't care enough about us to let us in on it either.
Nope.
They're literally
Yeah,
just following because it's like near the treat bag.
Yeah, they'll just watch you go.
You know, your dog loves you enough that they would make some kind of effort.
They would. They would
Yeah.
bark and try to like tug at your shirt. The cat's just like, I'm just going to watch you go. Sucks for this dude. All right.
I did hear that if you die in your house, eventually your cat will consume you.
I've heard that.
Really?
Yeah,
Gross.
yeah. They don't care.
Yeah, the cats are pretty vicious that way. All right, this one is called The Disconnected Number.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, let's find out if it has anything to do with that. All right. A few years ago, my brother would get a call on his cell phone around 2 to 3 a.m. every night. He would answer, and it was this hellish-sounding noise, like static mixed with screams. Ew. He changed his cell phone number after about a month of this, and it stopped. Then after a week or so, it began again. The same exact noise, exact same time. Finally, one day, he decided to dial back the call. It was an old man that had no clue what he was talking about. But still, the calls persisted. If he didn't answer, it would call a few more times. No messages were left, and he decided to say screw it. He ended his contract with the company, switched to a new one, and then got a new number. And guess what? Yes, the screaming static calls continued after a short delay. By this time, he was terrified every night, unsure why this was even happening. He dialed back the number again and got a different person. Around this time, he lost his job and his phone. The call stopped, of course. His phone was disconnected now. One day, my mom asked me to listen to the weird message she got on our home phone. It was the static screaming. We showed my brother, and he was freaking out. He back dialed the number again, and it said the number was disconnected, and he never heard from it again.
Shoot, that's crazy.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
And how does it follow him?
Ugh.
That's one of those that it's more of a think piece. It's not scary to hear at first, and then you think about it, and you're like, ooh, I don't like that at all.
Mm-mm.
I'd rather have the cat follow me, I think, than weird
Yeah.
people. All right, this one's very short. Heard a tapping on my window at night. Next morning, there was a handprint on the outside, and I live on the 3rd floor of an apartment building.
Ooh.
What?
It was the
What?
window cleaner.
What?
Would you not do that if you were a window cleaner?
You would have to, right?
Leave some freaky handprints here and there.
Yeah. like eat a PB&J, all J, and then just get it all over the window because that stuff gets sticky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. I was a kid when this happened. My uncle and I were finishing up chopping and gathering firewood for my grandmother because it's getting dark. Driving back on the dirt road at about 30 miles an hour, give or take, I had this awful sense of being watched. Before I could turn to look out my window, which was on the passenger side, my uncle quickly shouted, "Don't!" And I completely froze. My heart felt like it's beating out of my chest and completely stopped when I heard a tap, tap, tap on my window. My uncle sped up and was loudly praying in my native language. I didn't know what was going on and thought it was over until our truck suddenly stopped and something dipped from the bed. My uncle then started saying, "Look at me and don't turn away," over and over again. Then I heard it again, tap, tap, but from the window behind me. It was getting harder for me to breathe and I wanted to cry. And after a minute or two passed, the truck dipped again. My uncle looked around and sighed. It was quiet besides the truck and the road. He looked at me and said, "We will ask your father to do a prayer in the morning, so the evil will forget our faces. This is in Navajo." I remember curling up on the seat and just staring at the radio, watching the time, listening to my uncle sing an old prayer till we got to my grandmother's house.
That's scary.
Yeah. I want to hear that prayer. I bet it's really scary.
Yeah.
Yikes. What is that? Ooh.
I
That
don't
one
know.
gave me the willies. I like it.
I want to know what was outside his window. Right.
It sounds like it could have been the creep from Jeepers Creepers. My grandmother died last year sometime when my son was maybe a year old. We had dinner with the whole family every Friday night, so my son had seen him several times. Did I say grandmother or I said grandfather. Okay. My grandfather was a very quiet, proud man, but when he thought he was alone or unseen, he would make silly faces at my son to get a laugh. A couple nights after his funeral, my son, who liked to crawl into bed with us in the middle of the night, just started laughing uncontrollably at like 2 a.m. in the morning. I get out of bed to see what's going on and find my son sitting in the middle of the living room in the dark laughing, and I say, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing?" in toddler speak. He says, "Papa, funny." I got a little nervous for some reason when I went to pick him up and bring him out to the room for the rest of the night. And as I'm hauling him away, he says, "Bye, Papa," and blows a kiss at absolutely nothing that I can see.
Oh.
That reminds me of my story.
Yeah.
I agree, it does. All right, here, this one might be relevant to some other things we've talked about. I'm just looking at the title, so I can't say for sure, but when I was growing up, one of my best friends told me about a very creepy situation involving him, his younger brother, and a man in the window. Hopefully it wasn't the same window that girl flung her poo in. For context, you need to go back to last week's episode.
Shoo.
Yeah. Really weird first date. All right. When my friend and his little brother were younger, they shared a bedroom. They're some years apart, but his younger brother was born with a multitude of different health issues, including multiple sclerosis, and he's confined to a wheelchair and cannot care for himself. So, to keep an eye on him overnight when his parents couldn't, they shared the room. One night, my friend randomly woke up for no in particular reason and happened to glance over at his younger brother, but suddenly noticed something very startling. A strange silhouette of a man wearing a top hat looking in through the window behind his brother's crib. The first thing my friend did was jump up and turn the light on, then ran to his parents' room to tell them what they saw. When his parents came back into the room to investigate, his younger brother was having a seizure. A few of his family members say it was his younger brother's guardian angel standing at the window that night. My friend believes it was death. Either way, it's unsettling to me.
Shoo. Yeah,
It's another-
either way.
It's another tale of the wide-brimmed hat.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe. Ugh. All right, well, folks, it is 2:01 a.m. I went a little bit over, reading a couple extra stories, but they were so fun.
Yeah.
Haven't done it in a while, and I've got plenty more to come, so come hang out with us
deliciously
again.
Halloween.
It is. It's so yummy-liciously Halloween. It is.
Halloween
All right.
month.
We're talking about doing all kinds of fun shows this month, as you've probably heard. And we're going to do some random ones. We'll let you know maybe an hour or two ahead of time if you follow us on Facebook or Twitter or anything. Or Spreaker will tell you on your phone, so you've got that too. We're going to do just play some Halloween tunes and some radio shows and talk and just have a good time. So hang out with us.
Yeah, so I think we're going to try to do that tomorrow night.
We are going to try. It seems like when we plan, it never goes right, but we are going to give it our best, aren't we?
Yeah, so something crazy happens.
Yeah.
Pray that it doesn't, because we don't need any more crazy in this world.
No more crazy.
For real.
No more crazy. Agreed with that. All right, so for tonight, well, let me do the usual. Go to midnightspookhouse.com and give us your feedback and get in touch with us. We appreciate the questions. You guys should register. You can ask them live during the show. We can talk about them. Go to at the Spook House on Twitter, the Midnight Spook House on Facebook, and that's it. So, Megan, would you like to bid adieu to the fine folks that are hanging out with us tonight?
Adieu, you fine folks that are hanging out with us tonight.
I like that. Check this out. We're going to go out with some different tunes tonight. I just happen to really like the sound of this. So I'm going to play it as everybody says goodnight. It sounds epic, as they say. All right, so Ryan, if you'd like to say goodnight.
Guys, happy Halloween month. 6th day of Halloween. Or 7th day of Halloween.
It is. Isn't that weird? It is.
It is. Thanks again for hanging out with us tonight. Hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow night with some Halloween tunes.
Dark Falls, I think my favorite were the Morgue stories as well. So far, those have really creeped me out hard. Maybe I can do some more of those too. All right, well, for myself, I'd like to say thanks again so much for hanging out with us. And good night, folks.